Hey, everybody, welcome back. My name is Todd Ronan from At Reality Forecast on YouTube, and I'm joined with Liz Cross. Hey, Liz, how are you?
I am great. Thank you. And I just want to say, Ronan, I appreciate you doing all of these probes. People love you. They like how you're asking the questions, they like the topics you're picking. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone. I know I get a lot of emails about you. And don't forget, everybody, and I know, Ronan, you don't like me saying this, but Ronan does have a tip jar and it's in the comments. So I know you all love Ronan and we do too. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has bought me a cup of coffee, who has paid for my Golden Doodles lunch, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. I would like to send you all a personal thanks, and this is that. Thank you. Liz, people are really excited about artists, and this is Mary Cassatt, I think Pennsylvanian born woman around the 1860s. People are going to correct me, I'm sure. She moved to France. Her dad didn't like her moving in France, but she studied with a lot of French impressionists at the time. And her artwork has always sort of made me, it feels happy and joyous. I don't know if we can bring in the idea. Have you ever heard of Mary Cassatt or seen her works?
I haven't actually. I've seen her work, and I've heard the name, but I've never really, studied her. I'm more of a, the regular top tier Degas. So she was with Degas. I love Degas.
Yeah, she was. Well, let's ask her.
Yeah. What would you like to know?
How are you doing?
Whew, she says, I am good. She feels really tired. I feel like this lifetime that she had as Mary Cassatt was exhausting. She was in high demand as a painter. She made a lot of money as a painter as well, which is unlike a lot of the artist stories that we hear. And
Yeah, and how was it living as a woman in kind of a man's art world for her?
how was it living as a woman? It was okay. She really didn't have a lot of issues. She used her feminism to her, at her convenience. So, as in when things were getting a little challenging and the men started flexing their egos, right? She would then become very flirtatious and sort of soften those egos.
She was friends with Edward Degas. Was there any romance there, or was it strictly a platonic painting relationship?
Yes, they were lovers. That was a good question.
Why did they not get married?
Oh, because he was impossible. he was he was good. She's being very graphic now. He was good, as a lover, but a very insanely difficult person. Really struggled with his emotions. It was an impossible companionship, but there were a lot of sparks flying, in other ways.
And so it was a decision based on mutual disgust that they couldn't stay together with each other. They remained friends.
They always remained friends, and the art community knew that something was kind of going on, but they kept a very low profile as far as their relationship was concerned. I feel like Degas was committed to someone else.
I always was impressed by her ability to capture the innocence of a mother and a child in spite of not having a child of her own. So, what was your motivation behind those scenes?
Oh, what was the motivation? Because the mother-child relationship is the strongest bond and the most beautiful bond on earth.
I believe that to be true too.
It is. It is. Certainly back then when mothers were allowed to be mothers, right? Um, Not saying that it was rosy and perfect and there were a lot of issues, but mothers now, due to the economy, they have to go work and they're not able to enjoy their children like they were in the past.
What were some of the obstacles that she faced as a female impressionist painter in that time? And how did she overcome them?
Well, it was a man's world, she says. It was insanely difficult. And a lot of times especially when she was first appearing on the scene in Paris, and she also spent a lot of time in Amsterdam, I feel, in the Netherlands. But when she first arrived on the scene, she was the laughing stock, a woman painter, ha ha ha, oh, you want to come and hang with us and roam in our circles. So she really had to prove herself, and that she did.
She did, but later on in life, I think she had trouble with her eyesight, and some people have questioned what her motivation was later in life. Was she just, what made her go away from those types of artwork that she did earlier in her career?
So what she wants to tell us, there was something in the paint or the chemicals back then that caused a lot of painters and artists to have difficulties with their eyesight.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, and now when you think about it, a lot of them did. And I'm saying, well, yes, that's true. They did have difficulties with their eyesight. It wasn't just their lifestyle, it was the exposure, a repeated exposure. There's something very toxic, and as she's trying to show it to me, it's like almost burning my eyes. And I'm saying, is it stuff they use to clean their brushes? Is it things that they used? Was it in the paint? It was the chemicals in the paints, or the chemicals in whatever these substances were that they used. It damaged their bodies, it damaged the nervous system, and it damaged the eyes.
I guess no one knew that back then. She had a
Mm.
very contentious relationship with her father when she moved to Paris to study this type of art. Did that heal as she came back and got notoriety over her life, or did she always maintain that animosity with her dad?
No, it didn't heal. And she's saying her father was very much like what we would call a modern day narcissist. Really did not appreciate her, having ideas above her station, which is a very popular saying in the UK. Women are supposed to be breeding machines, they're supposed to be at home, serving the husband, getting married, having children, things like that. And this is something that she could have done in her spare time, not as a career. So there was always a lot of issues with regards to that. I don't feel she came from a poor family.
No, her family was quite wealthy. Her dad was a
Um,
stockbroker and financed her trip over to France originally with her mom, if I remember.
That's correct. Yeah, because I didn't feel like she grew up poor. A lot of artists, they struggled, they were poverty stricken, And that was kind of the life that a lot of them led. But she, she didn't need a male suitor, as she just said. She could finance herself, and she made a good living out of painting portraits. She was commissioned by a lot of big money people in France and around Europe.
What was her proudest accomplishment in her life as Mary Cassatt?
That move to Paris, that took a lot of guts. That was huge. She did not speak the language. She had to learn all of that. And that was her biggest accomplishment. She learned so much from that, having to fit in with the painters, having to prove herself that she was good enough. And that took a lot of internal confidence as well. Because don't forget, back home, she had been told, you can't do this, you can't do that. So she had to break free of that. Her father was very demeaning to her, like, oh, well, your painting is mediocre. So she had to get away from that. And he died a very horrible death, by the way. He had a very bad existence towards the end of his life, very lonely, very ill. And she really just kind of didn't care too much. I mean, he had just insulted her and was very overbearing.
What advice would she give to young artists today in 2023, particularly in light of how prevalent artificial intelligently generated artwork has become? And what are her thoughts on that?
As you said that, I looked at her and she spat on the ground. And when you said AI, she goes, oh, horrible stuff. That's not artwork. That's just insanity. Will it ever go back to beautiful works of art? Eventually, but it's going to take a very long time. And her advice to any artist is just get out there, just do it, just produce your work. Yes, it may be difficult. Yes, you may have to stay up all night and work all day, but just do it, because you'll thank yourself for doing so. You won't have regrets there about finally finishing and creating projects. You'll only have regrets if you don't do it.
Her artwork still inspires me to this day, and it's such a beautiful look into tenderness and emotion, and it's just, I appreciate the work that she put forth, and I want her to know that I think she's still celebrated even today. How does that make her feel that her works are still inspired and viewed today?
Well, she feels very privileged. She feels privileged that people actually paid attention to what she was putting out, and that she may not be considered a master like Monet, those types of people, but she was certainly up there in that field. She just didn't get a lot of recognition because she was female. So, but she feels very privileged that she left her mark on the earth plane for many years to come.
Has she incarnated since this life? And has she been an artist again?
No, she hasn't reincarnated again. She will. She's kind of slow at doing so. She will be back into America, and next time she's going to be a singer.
Again, inspirational to many. Mary Cassatt, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all of your artwork. Liz, thank you for bringing her forth and sharing her story. And thanks to everybody for listening. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.